It's not every day you get anime that can mix the fun enjoyment of having fight scenes with the intensity of emotions. Sure, there are anime that definitely have both of them, but usually one will always lean towards one aspect of the concept versus another. And to be fair, I don't blame those anime. It's really hard to try to mix both those concepts together to make something that's compelling without having one dampen the other. So when Windbreakers came into my life, I was definitely hedging my expectations on what to expect from this. And keep in mind, I was coming off the anime Buchigiri when I was starting the first season of Windbreakers. And Buchigiri, if you guys didn't know, is basically the same concept of school gangs fighting against each other, but it's a Mappa original. And that has its issues. I debatably might make a video on it, but let's just say it's a less than stellar premise. So coming off as something that was kind of cool but lukewarm like Buchigiri and moving over to Windbreakers was a bit of a change, but a change definitely enjoyable. Now, I wasn't initially caught by the show immediately. Sure, it had some really good fight scenes that caught my eye that made me want to watch more, but nothing that I would say is super impressive and made me fall in love. But by the third episode, seeing what it was doing and seeing the direction in which the story was trying to head towards, I was hooked. I was hooked and I was hoping for the best. Now I'm 2 seasons deep and I can tell you with certainty that Windbreakers is a fantastic new anime. First off, the show itself is just extremely fun to watch. Like I said earlier, it has really good choreography, but getting deeper into the seasons, across season 1 and season 2, my lord, dude, they put up some really cool, really well choreographed, and really awesome fight scenes. And even though you potentially haven't seen the anime, you have definitely seen the clips of some of the kids fighting in the auditorium, or some of the kids fighting in the red light districts of this world's anime, or some of the kids going ahead and fighting in a warehouse. You have probably seen these clips everywhere, and everyone is always impressed by them, and for good reason. And I think they are a big reason why we pick it up. Sure, yes, we love story, we love deep exploration of the human conditions and emotions and wanting compelling characters to latch on to, but at the end of the day, anime is going to all draw us to one thing: good animation. And I think that's why a lot of us initially picked it up in the first place, because yes, we all still like a deep story with compelling characters that we can latch onto, but at the end of the day, we all like good animation, whether it could be the beautiful backgrounds of Studio Ghibli, the weird wacky character designs that Studio Trigger has, or just the overall bonkers animation that Mappa could sometimes give to its anime. We all latch on to the good animation. And Windbreakers does in fact not only have good animation, but some really good choreography. And again, I've said that multiple times, I like to repeat myself to put emphasis on things, but seriously, just if you're here to just watch the fight scenes, this is a good show for it, especially season 1. But this is also where Windbreakers appeals to the people who want a little bit more narrative, a little bit more depth, and a little bit of more emotion within their stories. Because the fights aren't just there to be flashy set pieces for others to enjoy and to watch. They are actually their own vehicles to keep telling the narrative through. Every fight always adds some heavy emphasis on either a character's goals, a character's ambitions, the team's ambitions, the story, or some ideology they're trying to push. And you can feel it throughout the entire fight. Hell, there's one fight with the MC of the story and the leader of a gang going at it as they quite literally say, "We are expressing ourselves through our fists," and they're understanding each other. That fight right there, I think, is the pinnacle of what I'm trying to describe when it comes to Windbreakers, where it's not just a flashy fight show, it is a show that fights and has emotions attached to it. And they're not just attached. They do a really good blending between the two to where one cannot coexist without the other. Now, part of the reason I did want to go ahead and talk about Windbreakers is, well, I just wanted to share my love for the show. But the other part is, season 2 finished a bit a while ago. It came out this year and ended around the end of spring. And there are a lot of people that came off from it feeling like season 2 was lacking a lot and missing a couple of bits and pieces, wasn't as strong as the first. And a lot of people's opinions when it comes to that is the fact that there wasn't much of the actual fighting. Now, to be fair, if you are someone that got latched onto the clips and watched season 1, so all the fights that season 1 had to offer, and going into season 2 and realizing that, you know, we're getting stories about old men and trees, or talking about people wanting to sing at bars, or expressing yourself in a certain way, okay, that's fine. If you're here for just the fights and only the fights, don't really matter about the extra layers when it comes to that stuff, I can understand why Season 2 might not be your thing. But I will go as far as to say that if you are somebody that didn't like Season 2 because it didn't have enough for the fights, or it didn't have the things that you wanted inside of it, and you thought that all the emotional stuff was drowning out all the fights that should be within it, I think you're missing the point of what Windbreakers is supposed to be, both in Season 1 and Season 2. Yes, it is a story about high school boys getting into gangs and fighting. That is the core premise of the show. But the other core premise is them fighting for their ideology and their individuality. A lot of these boys are fighting for something. They're fighting for the purpose of their goals, they're fighting for the purpose of their ideas, and the cornerstones of what makes them them. The purpose of the fights is to drive home their sense of purpose and to really show to the world that their ideas and their passions are the ones that should reign true. And the idea of the fights is supposed to be the visualization of both of these gangs' ideals clashing against each other to see which one truly stands strong. I mean, hell, the whole entirety of Season 1 was basically that, with both Bofurine and Shishitorin fighting with their ideals. Sure, it didn't start that way, it started off with a little bit of a turf war, but through the fighting you see that they're fighting for their ideals, fighting for the understanding of what they see as the concept of their being, and it being challenged through those fights. And even though Season 2 didn't have the same amount of fights as Season 1 did, Season 2 helped visualize exactly what Bofurine stand for and what Bofurine really fights for. But it's also not just to show what Bofurine fights for, and it's not to help show that actual visualization of the world that Bofurine wants to actually protect. It's also to help our main character Sakura grow, which to me right now, in terms of action and I guess shonen, I think he's currently my favorite MC right now. But Sakura himself was also another point of contention because there was a lot of people that thought Sakura got a bit too soft and he got a little bit too emotional when it came to Season 2. But I don't think that was the case. That's the point of the journey for Sakura. Sure, Sakura does come off more as a badass in Season 1 as he's this lone wolf type character who's trying to take the very top spot of Bofurine. But through all that, we also very quickly see that that's not really Sakura. Sakura is someone who tries to act like a monster. He tries to act like a badass and someone who can really fight and stand on his own, which to be fair, he can. But Sakura obviously has a soft side, but he tries to hide it because he doesn't want to let anybody in. Sakura thinks that having these types of emotions and trying to have those connections is only going to weigh you down and distract you from what you want to do. But Bofurine is the complete opposite of that. Bofurine is the group that emphasizes that having those connections, having that love, and having that passion for something you want to protect can make you stronger and can make you a better fighter and a better person. Season 1 is more of him realizing that his ideals are kind of flawed. It's not him completely accepting the idea of Bofurine, but it is acknowledging that his way might not be the proper way he wants to live. Season 2 is the acceptance season. It's the journey that we see Sakura struggling a bit on his own and him accepting that he doesn't want to walk on the tightrope that he's been walking on all his life. He does have friends that care about him. He does have people he might want to protect. And maybe, just maybe, that's not a bad thing. It could be a good thing and it could help him be the person that he wants to be. I think that's why I love the last couple episodes of Season 2 of Windbreakers, because we see a character that would basically be what old Sakura used to be, this lone character who just wants to fight and is considered this insane monster. And he offers Sakura the ability to go with him and be this lone wolf, to be the person that he was looking for in Season 1. But Sakura rejects that, fully accepting that this is the person he wants to be. This is what he finds the most enjoyment in, and this is the ideal that he wants to stand for. I really like Sakura's journey because it does two big things for me. One is that it executes the idea of the power of friendship actually working in stories. Now, yes, there are anime that have done the friendship is power thing, as well. And also, it is a little bit disheartening to just water down the entire premise as the term friendship is power, but I think it gets past the core of what Sakura's character is. And it's the idea of having that human connection can make you stronger because now you're fighting with a purpose. You're not just fighting to fight, you're fighting to defend something, and it's something that you love. But it also shows that just because something is broken doesn't mean it can't be fixed. And Sakura at the beginning was a character who was obviously broken, formed together by some trauma and striving by himself, but not striving like he wanted to. But with enough tender love and care, he grew into a person that he really likes. he grew into a better person, and he grew into a person that he could be proud of. And the way they execute that, it's super well too. And if we ever get a season 3, which I really hope is soon, I'd like that 3rd season to really challenge that change. And to be fair, it seems like that's the direction it's going into. I implore you, if you didn't like Windbreakers because you thought it was too emotional, please go and maybe come at it with a different lens and understand what the story is going to. And if you ever watch Windbreakers because you think it's all fighting, let me assure you, Windbreakers is a show that has fights. Really good fights. But the fights itself, along with everything else, is more than that. Windbreakers is a show that embraces its emotions and lives up to them in the fullest. And honestly, I think more people should really give this anime a chance if you haven't.
I'm like so gay.